Good morning, folks. It's another beautiful day in paradise. I'm Ian. That's Nick. We have a good friend of ours, Jeff, here from the project Megafans. He's the founder, he's the CEO, he's an awesome guy. It's an esports project which is launching this June. So, this is why you follow Crypto Paradise, folks. You get the alpha, you get the insights, you get the founders on. And with that, Jeff, would love for you to introduce yourself and the project.
Thanks, Ian. Nice to be here. Hey, Nick. So yeah, Jeff Donnelly. I am founder and CEO of Megafans. A little bit of background in gaming for 25 years. Always worked on the same three problems: user acquisition, retention, monetization. That brought me to the conclusion that to help gaming companies and metaverse developers as well is to bring an esports product forward. It has obvious traction and sticky factors to it, lowers cost per acquisition, attracts new users, retains users, and monetizes those users. That solves those three problems that any game developer, metaverse developer wakes up to every single day.
Love it. Problem first, right? Identify the problem, solve a problem, and only then do you have chance of getting adoption, product market fit, and having success for the long term. So that's the exact mindset we want to hear.
Yeah, yeah. So, and that came from, those past 25 years working with these other game developers. I've worked with some of the biggest brands in video games, fantasy sports, even online sportsbook. When I came to that conclusion, I started watching the esports market around 2014, 10 years ago, when it first started really emerging as a way to monetize and became a, professional phenomenon. And realized, there was only about 1% of gamers that qualified to be part of these, pro esports teams. And how do I bring that to the masses and how many people are actually there? And the fact is there's 3.3 billion people that play a video game every single day. That's noted. That's not for me. You can go to Newzoo, you can go to Sensor Tower, you can go to any of these reporting sites. That's a fact. So that's nearly half the world's population. And guess what? 3 billion of those play mobile games first. So that's where the mass majority is. So that's directly where we went. We went right into the biggest pool of potential users. And then we developed the product and tested it in market, and then found out after surveying our market several times, 85% of our user base is crypto curious. So that's exactly why we built the
Yeah,
product.
I've been a proponent for years that kind of video gaming and crypto is meant to be. We're just slowly, it's taken forever to kind of see the integration. We had the play to earn model last cycle. Those hit it really big, but play to earn means tons of inflation and it's only one game. With you guys, it sounds a little different. Like, how are you differentiating? You're more than just a game. You're an actual platform for the whole GameFi ecosystem. So if some of these gaming projects either are bad token economics or they start losing users, you guys can still fill in the gaps and still survive because there's always new GameFi projects coming to the space. Am I kind of looking at that the right way?
You're exactly, Nick. So the fact is that games come and go, and communities. But you hear about the big ones, you hear about the triple A's. Those are the ones that made it, right? But for every triple A, there's literally thousands of games that didn't make it to that level. So how do you meet the demand of the entire market? We built a widget, so it's an esports tournament system. And we made it so that it can literally integrate into any internet protocol in any gaming code, any gaming environment. So our product is the tournament system that goes inside the game. I call it the game within the game. But that allows us to work with and collaborate with any game developer and all game developers. So it doesn't matter if they're building it on mobile, PC, browser, in Unity, which is one of the code bases, in Unreal Engine, Web2, and specifically Web3. It doesn't matter. Our system is completely interoperable on every single code base and every single internet protocol. And by doing that, that keeps all the doors open for us to work on a white label solution for some of the bigger game developers that already have communities developed, but they need an esports, factor to keep people in, to retain them, to monetize them. Or a mid-level developer who might have a small or a fledgling community, but needs to activate them. It's an activation tool as well. Or a startup that's like just trying to build their community. Well, we can bring them a community and we can bring them this esports tournament system so they don't have to go out and recreate the wheel. Let them focus on what they're good at. And that's, user interface, game mechanics, story, all of those factors that are so important to the game developer. That's what they specialize in. We specialize in user acquisition, retention, and monetization. And that's what the esports tournament system does.
Very cool. Great explanation. The way I look at it, putting my investor hat on, and of course, no information on this channel is ever investment advice, just our opinions. But I am an investor. Nick's an investor, full disclosure, into Megafans. And so putting that hat on, I think of Megafans more like gaming infrastructure than a game, right? And that's clearly the case. But why is that important? Well, you've essentially de-risked yourself to a tremendous degree by we're not relying on a game to be successful. We're relying on this product to get adopted, sure, but because the potential landscape of integrations is so tremendous, because it's really truly infrastructure, that de-risks you to a much larger degree than if it were just a game. I want to really hammer that point home for people. This is gaming infrastructure, guys. This isn't just another blockchain game.
Yeah, and not only is it interoperable with all of the different game platforms and game code bases, it's interoperable with all the blockchains as well. So it can literally operate on any blockchain, which means we're token agnostic, which means whatever game developer we're working with, we can adopt their token into that ecosystem as well. And then that creates a bigger ecosystem where our token holders will be able to share in that. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. That's part of the utility conversation.
Yeah, so we kind of gone a broad overview, infrastructure play, what you guys are doing, user acquisition. Could you give like a quick low IQ example of a potential partnership and how your platform works, like what it does? And then you can kind of start tailing into how that adds utility for the token. And I'm sure Ian has questions about MBucks.
Sure. We already have 5 game partnerships in place today. So we've been building this for a few years now. The product's been live for 3 years. So we've tested it against 700,000 users who've already earned over $250,000 worth of prizes in various forms, and that includes cryptocurrency, that includes NFTs, that even includes in real life gift card links. So, and we've activated multiple communities in multiple regions, including Southeast Asia, South America, North America, Europe, Middle East, India. We're actually moving into Africa right now as we speak. That's some alpha there for you. That's going to be happening with the token launch. We just made our partnership with a very large and very successful KOL group in Africa. So they're taking us into market there. And those 5 games that we've already partnered with, again, we went mobile first because we wanted that mass adoption. We wanted to be able to test. I know from all of these years in user acquisition for these other gaming companies, you need to test, you need to learn, you need to optimize, get those learnings under your belt and optimize. So we went mobile first so that we could test anywhere in the world. We could test on any type of game. We went with a format of our selection format of picking genres. And so we looked for the most popular genres in mobile gaming and then looked for those game developers. We found 5 individual studios that we partnered with, and we have 2 platformer games, 1 endless runner game, 1 driving obstacle game, and 1 puzzle game, all very popular genres in the mobile gaming space. Some even cross over to PC. And then we tested those. We tested them first, what their cost per acquisition was, what the retention rate was, what the monetization rate was against normal factors like advertising, things like that. Then introduced the concept of esports to those same communities to see what the differences were and measured that. And then we actually did a dry run where we ran the product for about 6 months without actually offering real prizes. We just let people know, look, you're going to win some game tokens, but they're going to be worthless, but this is just for testing. The audience understood that, and they were willing to participate. Then we actually started introducing real tokens. So we use some of the traditional tokens, Bitcoin, Ethereum, those types of things. And that activated the market, pretty well. Then during the last cycle, we introduced NFTs. Our audience numbers blew up. So we went from about 100,000 testers, about 500,000 testers in about 5 months. just during that small piece of the cycle. And then we took all those learnings from that. What's activating them? We interview them on a regular basis. And we came to the conclusion that if we could create a token for ourselves, for our hardcore community, for the Megafans, okay, that they could hold for various factors, the typical ones, which, APY and things like that, but gamify, right? We're a gaming platform. So give them something that's gamified. And so we decided that, they could have interoperability with this token. So if they're holding our token, they'll have access to these other games tokens. Sometimes before they come to market, everyone's going to vary. They're all going to be different. But every single game developer is going to have a unique community, a unique offering. So if we can offer those tokens and those NFT collections from those game developers to our audience, sometimes early access, sometimes maybe just favorable terms to be able to play, win some of our tokens, trade for their tokens, trade for their NFTs. It really creates an interoperable ecosystem where everybody benefits. When I say everybody, not just our users, their users, because we'll be combining communities. And again, we can grow those communities very, very quickly. Our average global cost per acquisition so far has been 20 cents US. That's about 10% of what the normal mobile game market cost per acquisition is. So we know that we can beat those numbers. And by the way, with all this activity comes monetization. So not only is it a gaming platform, but inherently you have a captive audience. It's a marketing platform as well. So now you can introduce other tokens, other NFTs, other digital assets that might not even be in the games. They might just be advertisers that want this captive audience, that want those eyeballs, or they might want to, through goodwill, sponsor a tournament, and so we'll have a sponsorship platform as well. So there's all these monetization aspects to it. But with the monetization comes the benefit for the user. Again, so everybody knows that, when you play and you win something, it feels good, right? So, and that's what gamers like to do. Casual gamers, mid-core gamers, hardcore gamers, they all have the same feelings. So we know it works. And I know this from working in the daily fantasy sports space and the proper video gaming space. I've worked with AAA games. I know what it looks like. I know what it feels like. The difference between playing and beating somebody in bragging rights, which is great. We have that too. But then also to win something of value, that's massive. And digital assets are already native in the space. I mean, the Korean market and the Japanese market were trading digital assets in the late 1990s on eBay. So
that's early adopters, folks. That's real early adopters.
That actually
I love to hear that.
Yeah, that's actually true, because I used to play World of Warcraft back in those days, and you were already doing that, and you could actually pay. What's crazy is I knew about Bitcoin when it first launched. I didn't think of it as investment because I was so young, but you would actually get Bitcoin via PayPal, and you would pay somebody over in Asia to power level your account, which is illegal per the game laws. But yeah, you would swap like $20 for 20 Bitcoin. You'd give those Bitcoin to them. They would cash them in. They would power level your account. But that's a side note. But that's actually that's the digital assets from all those years ago that people were already utilizing. That's why I always thought video games and crypto are meant to be. We just haven't found a good long-term solution, and Megafans could be it.
And that's why I'm just applying something that's tried, it's true, it's proven. I didn't invent esports. Esports has actually been around for 40 years. Now, it didn't really start to emerge as a real market until the early 2010s. Why? Social media, right? And the connectivity from that. That's what blew this up. And honestly, I mean, that's what's blown up crypto as well. For the most part, right? Everybody goes to their Twitter feed or their Telegram feed or their, Discord feed, on a daily basis. So again, I'm just using tried, true, proven products that I've worked with that have already been tested, that have had hundreds of millions of dollars put into them, and they've generated billions of dollars. I mean, the esports market today is $2.25 billion annual recurring revenue. But that is projected to double by the end of next year. So that's the growth opportunity today that we're facing. And that's why this next bull run is going to be so important for Megafans and for game developers and for us to help those game developers. So we're working with some, I can't mention the brands, but we are working with some large game development DAOs. One of them has nearly 30,000 members. They're all individual builders. They build in Unity. And we have an SDK for Unity. So our system can literally, they can drag and drop it and plug it into their game. It can be integrated in one business day. Technically, we've done that successfully 3 times. But most teams will take, a week, maybe 2 weeks to do it. But that's still in the gaming world very, very fast. So, we solve for that problem as well.
A lot of potential for big partnerships coming down the pipeline. I love to see that. I love to get involved with projects that have an inherent virality through partnerships, right? Because you can't just pay influencers forever or do paid marketing forever. There needs to be some sort of way to get the message out. Cost-effective manner, partnerships is the way to go. You're talking about real integration. So that's a substantive partnership, not just something fluff. So let me just pivot over real quick because we have a couple more topics to get to here. Want to talk about the MBucks token. What's the use case? What's the utility? I think you mentioned something about holding it or staking it to earn something that's being generated via via these integrations. What are some of the other utilities here?
Yeah. Well, think of it like you're going into a gaming arcade, right? And you bought some tokens. And then what are you going to do with those tokens? You can play any game in that arcade, first case, right? And let's say those games, are giving out cryptocurrency or NFTs as prizes. So by using our token and holding our token, you get those prizes. So that's how it works. That's like a real life type of comparison of how this works. Okay, so that's key. And to my knowledge, we have asked every single game developer platform that we've engaged with. We've seen this before. Again, it's not a brand new utility to cryptocurrency in general. There are some cryptocurrencies that do that. Have not seen it in gaming yet. So we believe that this may be the first time that it's been introduced in this format in this game, let's say in esports. Okay, so that's extremely unique utility. It gives it true, interoperability. But besides that, it's going to unlock all sorts of, let's say, specialty products for our token holders. One of them we've nicknamed Torn and Burn or Turn and Burn. It's tournament to burn tokens. So we're actually, and this is just going to be for our token holders, we will hold esports tournaments for them where they can go in and play fun, casual games. And depending on where they place or, how many people join the tournament and comment on it, things like that. We'll ask them to do some social media posting, things like that. We'll burn some of the tokens. So they can actually win the rights to burn our tokens. But they have to hold the tokens to participate, right? They're in the arcade. So this is true gamification. Again, we believe that's a unique offering. And then we're actually going to use 45% of the company's net profits because it will be generating income from pay-to-play tournaments, from advertising, marketing, sponsorships, right? 45% of the net profits we're going to buy back tokens with. Wonderful. So now we can either redistribute those tokens to additional winners. If the audience is growing, we're in a bull market scenario. If we're not, and we need to sort of deflate a little bit, then we will have the right to burn those tokens as well. They will be in a pool that we can use or burn as needed. And we'll do, of course, what's right for the community because it's right for us. So, yeah. So those are just some of the
really strong utilities, right? I mean, hold to earn, essentially, right? Stake to earn the assets that are being generated within the game, right? You have the burning tournaments and the buyback. The burning tournament, by the way, that's a great example of so one of our core tenets, theses when it comes to evaluating projects is who's the team, who's behind it, who's the brains behind it. And that's a prime example of a lesser team probably doesn't think of that. A lesser team probably doesn't, enact that. You know what I mean? So it's a perfect example of why I'm long-term bullish on Megafans. Because look, by the way, that idea may not plan out. Who knows? That might not be, it turned out to be the greatest idea. But there's going to be another idea coming from Jeff and his team that's probably going to do great. So it's just that, to me, people seem to lose sight on that. It's like, all right, what's the offering right now, right in front of me? Well, that matters, obviously. But that's not the be-all, end-all, because this thing is going to evolve. It's going to grow. It's going to change. It's going to improve over time. and it's going to be based around the team and the team's efforts. So I
Right.
just want to give a shout out to you guys. That's an awesome idea. I did not know about that until right now. Pretty bullish on
And
it.
I think a lot of people in crypto right now are kind of like bear market PTSD, where there's very short-sighted. And then also, you know, chasing the meme coins. You have to be short-sighted because those things can go up, down, left, right, get rugged, whatever it is. And you'll notice when you're watching Crypto Paradise, we're focusing on a lot of projects that obviously we think will do good in this bull market, but have real businesses and real profitability and real revenue that they share back to token holders that could withstand the next bear market. So we could be talking about Megafans after we explode here the next 2 years. We go down the next 2 years, but guess what? They have a real business that isn't just relying on the crypto cyclical markets. We'll be continuing to have buybacks, continuing to have burns, and continuing to produce passive income for the token holders. Now, we don't like to use the word equity. We don't like to use the word revenue share to kind of avoid the SEC and what's going on. But, you know, crypto and blockchain gives those kind of that loophole of the IP rights to the participants of these projects and infrastructure plays. And that's why Megafans adds to the list of others that we've already talked about with real businesses and real revenues in which you can get a piece of the pie by holding, staking, and utilizing the utility token within their platform.
Yeah, as we build this and add these other games to our portfolio, and it'll be a mix again of startups, and we'll acquire some games too. Some of the games that we partner with, we already acquired because they're small and they just want to continue building games. They may keep a little piece of it. Then there's the mid levels that we're going to co-brand with, and then eventually we're going to hit the AAA. And once we get to that AAA game level, those are the big games that, you know, have millions of users. They're going to want to use a white label solution. They're going to want to rebrand it themselves. So we built in for all those scenarios. And Ian, to your point, it is from experience. This is from my 25 years background, problem solving in the room with these, you know, game developers, you know, CEOs of some of the biggest games on the planet, right? And I learned a lot. And it is about test, learn, optimize. You know, some things don't work, but you have to go find out. And we've studied this market. We've studied it for over 3 years actively, literally having product in market and using a real market feedback loop to develop these theories. And we make sure that there's a strong rationale and a strong proposition behind it before we decide to bring it forward. So everything that I've mentioned today, we have studied very, very deeply, as deep as you can with what's currently in the market. And we know that there's a real world opportunity there for the market. And then past, Nick, to your point, past this bull cycle, we're already going to have those games in our portfolio. We're already going to have those players. So whatever, you know, cryptocurrency does or the NFT market does, really, it matters to us, but we'll still survive it because we'll already have these game communities in place. These are locked in game communities. These aren't necessarily day traders. These are people that are coming in to play the game to win something. As long as you're offering them a prize pool, they're staying.
Right.
Right. And they're going to join your communities. They want bragging rights too. So again, we're using Web2, you know, natures and bringing those into our applications and bringing those into Web3. So we know that, you know, the next bear cycle, you already have those communities in place. They're not going anywhere. So we can continue building on that and we can lean on that. And so this is not just survivable, but it's continued growth. It's perpetual growth of the, you know, so because it's viral too, right? So
this is not just some fly-by-night operation that they came up with a month ago. You guys have been building this out for 2 years. Test, feedback, all that, evolving, growing, improving constantly. And it's actually, we've been following you guys for about that long as well, because we got to know you guys about 2 years ago and you invested about that long ago. Been working with you guys for a long time, and it's astonishing the level of improvement over time. So keep up the great work. I do want to talk real quick about the launch, and then we can get to some fun questions about times you got wrecked in crypto and all that good stuff. But you've been working for like 3 years on this thing. The launch is imminent. Tell us about what you can about the launch, any alpha you can drop around some approximate timing, any exchanges, launch pads, all that good stuff.
Absolutely. So yeah, we've been working on this for the past 6 months, getting ready for the token launch. We were actually technically ready at the end of the last bull run, but when we saw it turn bear, we decided to wait. Right? Let's continue working on the product, polish the product, come up with some of these opportunities. So we're more than ready to go to market. So the plan is to go to market mid-June to have our TGE. Okay. And then launch, you know, as quickly after that as possible, call it 7 days, maybe 10 days after that, 1 to 2 weeks. And we already have Launchpad partners in place. So I can mention because we have contracts with Engine Starter.
Nice.
We're going to be listing on MEXC. Those are two. We do have a very large tier one investment community we're finishing the paperwork on. So I can't drop their name today. It is in some of our materials. They have said that's okay to announce it. So if you, for instance, go to my LinkedIn account, you'll see the brand. But for
That's
today,
great alpha right there. I love that.
Jeff Donnelly is my LinkedIn username, so you can look me up. And so those are just some of them. Obviously, working with the Ferrum group and the Ferrum community, you guys have been more than supportive of us over the past 2 years. I mean, we've literally met weekly over the past 2 years, so you've seen and heard what we're building. But there's even still some new alpha that we haven't announced yet. And so going into the token launch, we have several partnerships, several launch pads. We will be on, as far as decentralized exchanges, we will be listing on PancakeSwap. So that's a DEX. So I mentioned a DEX, I mentioned a CEX, I mentioned one of the launch pads. There's several others we'll continue announcing. Then post TGE and post launch, there's multiple announcements coming out on game partnerships, on product development, and on some other communities that we'll be engaging with. So I look forward to that as well.
That's what you want to see, right? Strong launch plan, but that's really just the starting line. I always joke around. We finally got to the starting line, right? But that's just the start because you got to keep your foot on the gas pedal and have those partnerships, have further centralized exchanges down the pipeline. You got to have more on the product getting released, strong product roadmap that you're executing on, and just keep that foot on the gas pedal. And I have a strong feeling Jeff and the whole team and everyone supporting is going to not only keep the foot on the gas, but accelerate when the launch occurs. So I'm super excited to see how everything plays out. We're looking at around mid-June, I believe, for the launch. So follow Megafans socials. Follow Jeff. You can follow Crypto Paradise as well. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll keep you up to date on everything Megafans related, particularly to the launch. All right, so let's talk some fun stuff. Jeff, you've been in the crypto space for a number of years now. We want to hear about a time that you've done really, really well in crypto and a time you got actually absolutely wrecked.
2016, I did really well. So when I first got into crypto, I had clients that were actually paying me in Bitcoin. I had to go learn about Bitcoin in 2016. And I went and read the white paper. There was a couple books out on it. I got the theory, and I mean, it was just so intriguing. It became, so meaningful to me. So I actually did really, really well. As I was getting paid, I put aside, my piggy bank, 10% of what I was getting paid in Bitcoin back in those days. I piled, right? So I had a bag, have had a bag. Also, there was another time I read the white paper from Binance in late 2017 and bought several thousand BNB at the beginning of 2018 when it was $2.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
not bad returns, sitting at about $600 right now.
so Bitcoin at $600 is when I started again. That was August, September of 2016. And then February 2018, I had, $2 to $4 Binance. So did well with both of those, not as well as I should have. I should have held it all. Would have been doing this out of charity today. But no, those are a couple of wins. And then wrecked. Well, who hasn't been wrecked a few times? So look, I've been wrong. My partner and I actually met back in 2017. So Colin Bracey, most genius developer, and I've worked with hundreds of developers. Genius developer, actually was a child prodigy. Seen it in the news. I've seen the old videos. He's been developing for 30 years, lead developer for some of the biggest companies in Europe. And so he and I met on another gaming product that he had built. It was a sweepstakes gaming platform back in 2017. I actually built their go-to-market strategy for user acquisition, my specialty, right? And monetization and retention. And we actually did the first ever legal ICO in Canada with the British Columbian and the Canadian government. And we thought we'd made it. We had 80,000 new users that came on. We were transacting using the Waves wallet. We just raised about $3 million. And we were like, great, we can start building with this. Bad actor in the group, won't name names today for legal reasons. One of the partners had access to the wallets, took it all and left us high and dry.
Wow.
I did not know that story. Yeah, God. There's so many ways to get wrecked in crypto. There are ways to do well, man. There's ways to get wrecked. So you got to be so cautious. Who are you dealing with? Can you trust them? You really shouldn't have assets. You know, one person should be controlling assets. Have those in a multi-sig, you know, Gnosis safe, what have you. So a couple lessons there. Yeah. Before we run out of time, I want to ask one final question. So this show, it's all about financial freedom, following your dreams, not getting stuck in that 9 to 5. So Jeff, tell us, what does crypto paradise mean to you?
Crypto paradise to me means a sort of an altruistic gaming environment where everybody can go have fun and participate and share. I've been studying this for years. I've been working on this for years. I know that we can build, you know, a crypto paradise for gamers, for developers, for, you know, the builders, the players, the traders, you know, where they can all meet up in one place, commune or communicate, and they can share ideas and they can help each other. And ultimately, you know, I have an underlying thing. We actually work with 2 all-women's coding schools, one in Bangladesh and one in Afghanistan that operates under the Taliban. And it's an all-women's coding school. Please take note of that. Taliban does let it operate. And we want to support more coding schools like that. So for me, part of Paradise is giving back as well.
That's awesome. And, you know, I think what you have here is a great opportunity. You know, I have a group of friends, and a lot of them after their 9 to 5 like to decompress, hop on the video game, but it's not only about the gaming aspect and that dopamine rush, but also about being part of the community, catching up with old friends. And this is an opportunity that maybe gets those people to finally go from no coiner into the cryptocurrency ecosystem. But also while they're decompressing after their 9 to 5, they're also doing a little bit of a side hustle because they're earning assets, digital assets that do have a monetizable value. And right now they're not doing that. We're playing video games for free just to catch up with friends. And now maybe they can do a little side hustle and make some money and get involved.
We can help people on board, and we can help people make something on the side. That's fantastic, right? That's perfect. You know, everybody.
Who knows? Maybe in 10 years, someone's talking about how they were getting paid in M bucks. You know, in 2024 at 15 cents, and now it's
bring it,
whatever.
Bring it. Yeah, we're launching at 14 cents, so we expect it to go up from there. Absolutely, no, that's fantastic. There is one other note, guys, really quick. And I'm not going to get the story, but we were wrecked one time when we tried to launch our NFTs going into the bear market. We actually had another bad actor on board who did some nefarious things, so we stopped it to save our NFT collection and save our community from a bad actor. We will be bringing those NFTs out later, potentially this year, by the end of this year or beginning of next year. So there will be some utility around our NFTs as well, some interchangeability, interoperability as well with those. So I just wanted to mention that.
More alpha. That's why you come to Crypto Paradise, folks. Jeff, thank you so much for your time. By the way, those NFTs look sick. I'm really glad you didn't abandon that. Those are going to be great. So keep up the great work. And guys, we will see you on the beach.